Hi students, welcome to CLAT Simplified. Today we are discussing the passage number 5 of logical reasoning section of CLAT 2021, and this was a big passage, very lengthy passage, and also it was from the economics field. So a lot of students would have found it difficult. You can stop the video and read it. As you can see, this is a very lengthy passage as compared to the other passage. So take your time to read it. Right. So I'm sure you must have read the passage. Let us see what are the important elements in the passage. If you have watched my previous videos, I have always told you that there are only two important elements to look for in the passage. One is the main idea, and the other is how has author organized his thoughts to arrive at the main idea. And very surprisingly, in such a big passage, if you see, the author's main idea or the opinion part is very, very less. So things in green are the author's opinion, and I think there are only two places where he has cited his opinion for the subject. The main thing because of which he has written the passage is only at two places. Every other thing is built around that. Let us see. Things in red are background. He wants to arrive at a point, and he has written a background. Unlike the previous passages of CLAT that I have done of logical reasoning, if you have watched the previous four passages, in all those four passages, the author's opinion about the topic was mentioned right at the beginning, the first, second line. But in this particular passage, it comes later on. So there is a lot of background information. For example, let us see. COVID-19 infections are once again on the rise, with daily infections crossing 60,000 per day last week. This is considerably higher compared to the reported infection during the same period last year when the numbers were less than 500 per day. Now, if you read these two lines, there is nothing which tells me that there is some strong opinion of author about on the particular topic. He simply said that COVID-19 infections are on rise. And if we compare it to last year, the numbers are considerably high. What is obvious is that pandemic is far from over despite the availability of vaccine. However, unlike last year, the response this time has been muted with no nationwide lockdown. So till this point, first two lines are absolutely factual information. Then he says that it is obvious that pandemic is far from over. So this, of course, is author's opinion, but not the main opinion which he is trying to give about the content. And then he says that unlike last year, the response has been muted this time as there is no national lockdown. Again, a factual statement. And this is what he is trying to suggest. Why this time there is no lockdown? One of the reasons for differing response is the lesson from the unintended consequences of the economy of a strict lockdown last year. So this is his opinion, that one reason that why their response is different is last time we have learned the lesson that there are quite a few unintended consequences on the economy of a strict like lockdown, and things in blue are explanation of that particular point, that what are the consequences. If you read, while aggregate estimates on the growth rate of GDP showed a sharp contraction in economic activity, the impact on lives and livelihood is still unfolding, even though the sharp contractionary phase seems behind us. The extent of loss in lives and livelihood is becoming clear only now with detailed data from PLFS, that latest round of which is for April-June quarter 2020. This is all explanation of what he is trying to say. Then there are a lot of factual information, things in no color. There are a lot of factual information, all the factual information, and this becomes very boring. And that is where we start to feel that I'm not able to understand the passage. A passage with a lot of factual information, lot of facts and figures, it becomes very, very confusing. But just take it like this, that these particular factual informations are of no use. Even if you read them 5 times, you will not be able to retain them. You just need to understand that, okay, author has given factual information to prove his point. That's it. Why I'm saying so? Because even if you read it 5 times, when the question comes, you anyways have to come and check that. So once you have seen that all these are factual information, even if you have not understood much, don't worry, because when the question comes, you anyways will have to come back. Now, these are the author's opinion. These things are important. These are staggering numbers, but not surprising. He's saying the numbers are huge, but he's not surprised. Why? Because the lockdown certainly contributed to the worsening of the employment situation, particularly in urban areas. The fact that economy was already going through severe distress as far as jobs are concerned is no longer surprising. He is saying that lockdowns have contributed, but economy was anyways not doing well. And again, These factual information is to support his point that economy was anyways not doing well. Look at this. Between 2016 and 17, this is a pre-COVID period, and 2019-20, growth decelerated to 4% from less than half the 8.3%. So growth has reduced from 8.3 to 4%. So he's saying that anyways we were not doing well, although yes, lockdown has contributed and exacerbated the situation. So these are all factual information to prove the point. So why is this passage written? What is the main idea of the passage? The main idea of the passage, there are two things actually. One is that this time we have not imposed strict lockdown because we have learned some consequences, and those consequences are still getting unfolded in front of us. And the second is that although the numbers look huge, the impact of lockdown looks huge, but most of the things in the economy were not well even before the COVID. And author has given his explanation with regard to that. So let us solve the question. Remember, this passage was difficult to read, but if you follow my logic, that is, if you focus only on the author's opinion and you look at how he has structured the passage to arrive at his opinion, that will be enough for you to answer the question. All right, let us see. According to the author, which of the following is a plausible explanation for India's prevalent crisis of unemployment? Author has said that prevalent crisis is not only because of lockdown. Yes, a lockdown has worsened it, but it existed even before that. So let us look. The previously existing employment crunch is worsened due to the imposition of nationwide lockdown. Looks a very good option. Imposition of nationwide lockdown during the COVID-19 pandemic reduced economic activity. Yes, he has said that, but this is only half part. He has said that it has worsened, but it was already pre-existing. So already pre-existing part is missing. So B cannot be the answer. Imposition of nationwide lockdown during COVID-19 pandemic led to migration of workforce from urban to rural areas. To certain extent given in the passage, but this doesn't tell me that why there is a crisis in unemployment. There is a sharp decline in urban employment rate for the population above 15. Again given, but not the primary reason. The primary reason the author has given is option number A. B is half. C and D are true but irrelevant. In the passage they are given, but that's not the primary reason. Primary reason for the crisis is that we anyways were not doing well. The things in green, author's opinion. According to the author, what is the current state of Indian economy? There is a sharp contraction in economic activity. Okay. The aftermath of sharp contraction in economic activity is being experienced. Yes, this is given. The unemployment rates in urban areas for all categories are increasing by almost 3 times. This is the factual information is given in the passage. So we anyways have to go and check. Youth unemployment rate in India is at par with that in small and conflict-ridden countries. Again, factual information given in the passage in the last part, but let us check that. On an internationally comparable basis, unemployment rate among this was 28.5%, which makes the youth unemployment rate in India amongst the highest in the world. It is highest in the world and not at par. So D cannot be the answer. See, the unemployment rates in urban areas for all categories are increasing by almost 3 times. This is mentioned with respect to year 2011-12 to 17-18. So it is mentioned with respect to past. And the question and the option is set with respect to the present. So this cannot be said about the state of affairs in Indian economy. There is a sharp contraction in economic activity. There was, but what author is saying is option number B. That is the more complete option, wherein he's saying that we are experiencing the effect after effect of the lockdown. So we are experiencing, and things are yet to unfold completely. So answer is option number B. Which of the following statement cannot be inferred from the given passage? Loss of lives and livelihood is attributable to the imposition of nationwide lockdown during the COVID-19 pandemic. Yes, this is mentioned in the first few lines itself. Decline in the economic growth is attributable to the imposition of nationwide lockdown during the COVID-19 pandemic. This is also mentioned that there is a decline in economic activity, although yes, author has said that we anyways were not doing well. Next is rise in unemployment is attributable to the migration of members of workforce from urban to rural areas. So rise in unemployment, this reason is not given. in the passage. Let us look at D. Rise in unemployment is attributable to the imposition of nationwide lockdown. Again, this can be inferred. C is not given that the rise in unemployment is due to migration of the laborers. So answer is option number C. The only thing mentioned about migrants is in this particular line. Okay. Next, which of the following strengthens the author's argument that the decline in economic growth and rise in unemployment precedes the onset of COVID-19 pandemic? This is one of the main argument, right? So he's just asking, the examiner is asking that which of the following strengthens this. So the argument is that we were not doing well anyways before the pandemic. Pandemic has worsened it. So let us look. While 1 in 5 person above the age of 15 was unemployed during June 2020, the unemployment rate among 15 to 29-year-old was 34.7% during the same period. This talks about the same period. But what I am looking for is something that tells me that we were anyways not doing well before the pandemic, and pandemic has worsened it. So A only talks about the pandemic period and compares two different age groups. So not the answer. B. According to PLFS April-June 2020 round, the urban employment rate was for the population above the age of 15 was this, which is close to monthly average for the same quarter. Again, there is no information about what was happening before 2020. So this cannot be the answer. Between 16-17 and 19-20, growth accelerated to 4%, less than half the 8.3%. So this is the information before COVID. Now this tells me that we were anyways not doing well before it, and the COVID comes and it worsens the situation. So C looks like a good option. Let us look at D. The estimate from PLFS are broadly in line with estimates available from other privately conducted surveys, notably so this doesn't tell me anything actually. I am looking for something which tells me something about unemployment precedes the onset of COVID-19, and only option C is talking about a period which is preceding the COVID-19 pandemic, and hence answer should be C. According to the given passage, which of the following statement is correct? Unemployment rate in urban areas for all categories increased by almost 3 times over the preceding decade. Employment rates in urban areas for all categories increased by almost 3 times over preceding decade. Unemployment rates in urban areas for all categories increased by almost 3%. Employment rates in urban areas for all categories increased by almost 3% over preceding decade. Very similar looking options, but this is given in the last part. Let us see. It's here. The unemployment rates in urban areas for all categories increased by almost 3 times. So the answer has to be A with respect to unemployment, and 3 times. So answer should be option number A. So that is it. It was a difficult passage. A, it was lengthy, and B, it has a lot of factual information. But if you focus on the key areas, you will be able to get to the right answer. So that is it from my side. Thank you.